When I was but a wee little lad, my number one dream, more than anything, more than to be a wrestler, or a Ninja Turtle, or a Power Ranger, or a Jedi, was to get on a Nickelodeon game show, because compared to everything else I just mentioned, that one seemed like the most realistic. God damn, what kid of a certain age didn't grow up watching shows like Double Dare, Legends of the Hidden Temple, and Guts and want to be a part of that? Half the time I'd spend yelling at the TV going, "Move faster, you idiot," or "You missed the buzzer," or "How hard is it to put that stupid monkey together?" Of course, when you're a kid, you often aren't aware of your own physical limitations, so you aren't aware that if you were a boy or girl lucky enough to get on a show like that, you get eaten alive too. And for the adults, of course, there was American Gladiators, the ultimate spectator sport for the average Joe. Men and women from any town in USA had the chance to become one with the gods in a physical battle for domination. It was such a cool show, they brought it back in 2008. But let's face it, the only people who really stood a chance at that show were those who were already naturally athletic beasts, not average schlubs like you or I. So those are your two basic types of physical game shows in America. One's for uncoordinated kids, and one's for athletic adults. And for a while, that's how it always was. But the thing that, crap, I just totally lost my train of thought. I had a point with this. I was going somewhere with this. It was game shows, something, and point, and now it's gone. I've totally lost it. Son of a bitch. Okay, well, let's talk about wrestling. Let's just change the subject. Gosh, don't you miss how announcing used to be in WWE? I don't think it's just the nostalgia talking when I say the commentators of today completely suck compared to how it used to be. Mauro Ranallo is great, and Corey Graves has his moments of brilliance, but by and large, the best of today's crop just can't compare to guys like Jim Ross, Jerry Lawler, Bobby Heenan, or Gorilla Monsoon. Before everything got so damn corporate and homogenized, the people at the announce desk spoke with emotion, with passion, with integrity, damn it. They sounded like real human beings. Joey Styles sounded like he actually cared what he was talking about. Hell, I take Tony Schiavone in prime shill mode over Byron Saxton, and I'd rather listen to nails on a chalkboard than have to hear Graves try and shamelessly cop the style of Jesse Ventura. That's what the point I was trying to make at the beginning of this video. The Grudge Match! The Grudge Match was a short-lived game show from 1991 that was hosted by Ventura, who by this point had just begun to wipe the stink of Abraxas off of his bald head. This show hit that sweet spot in the American Gladiators Double Dare Venn diagram, a show that allowed people to get their heart rates up, but with no real athletic experience required. The premise was simple. Two people who had a gripe with each other, usually over money or material goods, would settle their score in a boxing ring and throw food at each other. And that was pretty much it. Basically, it was the People's Court, the first season of NXT, and the food fight scene from Animal House all rolled into one. Filmed at a soundstage in Universal Studios Hollywood, each episode of the Grudge Match featured 3 matchups between regular people. It's important to note that because as Ventura would say in every episode, "These are regular people, they are not trained athletes or actors." That's right. That last part has me a bit conflicted because I definitely picked up an actor vibe from some of these contestants, but not necessarily a good actor vibe.
Do you know how much you owe me? At least $500 for all the tickets and the damages that you caused me.
I'm still not sure that she understands exactly what it is that she put me through.
It was just a credit card and a transmission. It's not that big of a deal.
I'm gonna balance the books with you once and for all.
I'm gonna rock your bells, buddy.
Dean, I hear you want to rock my bells. Bring it on, Tinkerbell.
Each matchup began with a pre-taped package telling each person's side of the story. The person who was aggrieved usually sounded level-headed and natural, while the accused acted like they were given a crash course in heel promos by Jesse himself.
The credit card company had to cancel the card, and it was in my name.
But I don't feel like I should have to pay him back, because he is my dad, you know? Dads are supposed to pay for things.
Lonnie decided he wasn't going to show up without notifying, without telling me.
No. My brother has it all wrong. It didn't go that way at all.
Awesome, they gave that dude blocking. The contrast between the two sides of these matchups could not be more obvious, and the accused were always so firm and unwavering in their stance, it was ludicrous. Well, I let my best friend borrow my car for a couple of days, and by the time I got it back, there were cigarette burns in the upholstery, the whole right side of my car was dinged up, and I was on the hook for 2 parking tickets. I just wanted to cover some of those costs and apologize. Yeah, boy, that Frank's a goddamn liar. I ain't even seen that car, man. I don't know what he's talking about. Okay, I might have rolled it over a couple of times, but hey, I was doing him a favor probably. The show was called by announcers Steve Albert and Jesse Ventura. On the surface, so far so good. Albert comes from a great family of sports broadcasters, and who can forget Ventura alongside guys like McMahon and Monsoon? But fans hoping to hear WWF Jesse got more of WCW Jesse. You know, the era when he sounded like he was checked out half the time.
Our first match features two fraternity brothers who are battling over a motor scooter, so we'll see how that comes out.
Animal House?
We'll see.
Look at them go, pushing, shoving, and swinging haymakers. Yeah. Oh, yeah, and they're going in close for the mashing. Look at those good forehands and backhands and lob shots. This is boxing at its best here on the Grudge Match.
Gah. Michael Buffer, of all people, was there to introduce the matches, because apparently by this point he wasn't too good or expensive to be priced out of silly gigs like this quite yet. And speaking of WCW, as sad as it was to see Buffer doing stuff like this, it's not half as embarrassing as him sleepwalking his way to a paycheck on Nitro.
The reigning United States Heavyweight Champion Bret Hitman Clark.
But what about the officiating? The third man in the ring for every contest was comedian John Panette. Given the food-centric nature of this show, I can only imagine he jumped at the gig for the leftovers. Hey, don't call me out of line with that one, okay? The guy built his career on fat jokes. Each grudge match consisted of 3 one-minute rounds in a boxing ring. The first round was a battle using oversized boxing gloves, batakas, or other objects, and sometimes participants would be handicapped. For example, in intergender battles, the male would have his arm tied down. From there, the final 2 rounds were always some kind of food-themed battle. It didn't matter what the food was. Salad, donuts, cake, bananas, pies. The whole point was to get your opponent as messy as possible. Now, you would think there'd be some kind of scoring system involved in all this, right? You know, scorecards, judges, that sort of thing. I mean, you've already stolen so many elements from boxing at this point, it only makes sense.
And the great thing is, our audience chooses the winner.
Ugh, really? The audience gets to choose the winner after all that? Come on, the Brawl for All was more legit than this. Considering how the conflicts are set up, if the audience saw those video packages that explained why they were fighting in the first place, there'd be no need for the in-ring stuff at all.
I called him on the phone and I said, the car's making this grinding sound. I just turned the volume up on the radio to cover the sound of the grinding.
Oh, this bitch is going down. Another weird thing about the grudge match, it's not like some court show where the defendant would have to pay punitive damages if they were found guilty. Sometimes there was a cash prize, but other times the prizes would have nothing to do with the issue at hand.
Denise and Hugh are both fighting for a trip for 2 to Villa del Palmar Oceanfront Resort.
One guy missed a day of work to help pick up his younger brother's motorcycle, but the brother blew it off. So will the older brother be compensated for a day's worth of pay if he wins? No, he'll win his and hers watches. Will the dad whose daughter destroyed the transmission on his car get money for a new transmission? Maybe even some new wheels? Hell no, what kind of operation do you think the body's running here? Instead, he's trying to win golf clubs. I get the point of having a consolation prize if, for example, the thing they're fighting over has a monetary value that's so high the show can't meet it, or if the item in question is truly priceless. But if that's the case, why bother going to the show with a grudge at all? What's the big takeaway? If you win, you're still screwed. Like, hey, you totally should have paid for fixing my car and I had this 9-iron to prove it. It was a game show where you didn't even have to be in the right to win. Sometimes the quote-unquote heel got the win, but that shouldn't have absolved them from what they did in the first place. Sure, that girl who wrecked their dad's car and maxed out his credit card's a bitch, but who really wants to vote for the middle-aged guy who's essentially beating the shit out of his daughter with food?
The judges here at ringside, right here in our audience, have decided by 2-1 that the winner is in the red corner, Paul the Mauler!
Well, justice prevails. Ventura might have been the biggest star in this show, save for Buffer, but in the end, his delivery and his charisma alone weren't enough to keep it afloat. The grudge match went the way of so many game shows like it, and ended up being cancelled after 1 season. It was later revived for British TV in 2000 with some changes made to the rules and presentation. As far as the American version goes, no one's careers were severely damaged as a result of this, so ultimately, it was a harmless blip in the history of goofy televised fighting. But it's just so weird that Ventura would take this gig at all. I mean, he was the mayor of Brooklyn Park, Minnesota when this show happened. I mean, he was really early into his term. Shouldn't he have been focusing his energy and his time on the thing he was elected to do, not running off to LA and doing this stupid TV show that lasted for 1 season and just fell off the map? And another thing about that is, oh my God, I lost it again. Son of a, oh my God, I had the point, and now it's gone. Oh my God, what is wrong with me today? I'm totally off. Oh yeah,